Welcome to Connected. I'm your host, Tammy Lindy, bringing you interesting interviews, stories and local bands from our great southeast. Joining us on the show today is Caroline King from the Assistance Dogs Foundation and Ipswich Fire Station Officer Philip Paff. Later in the show, we'll be out on location with Tracy Tomlin, the Queensland State Partnerships Manager from the Starlight Children's Foundation. But first up, I have the pleasure of speaking with Ipswich Headspace Service Manager Tess Stewart and Ambassador Ebony Corbin with some truly uplifting stories about young people in the region. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
No worries, it's my pleasure. Now tell me, what is the Headspace Foundation organisation all about?
So the Headspace Centre is the National Youth Mental Health Foundation. It started back in 2006 following the research that was conducted by Patrick McGorry at the National Youth Origin Health Centre in Melbourne. It was basically a response to the increased suicide rates amongst young people and also the increasing mental health issues and the difficulties that young people were having to access essential mental health services. So Headspace is that one-stop shop where young people can come and get help with anything from mental health to general health to drug and alcohol issues to difficulties with employment and education. The main thing is we're there to support with mental health issues, but there are a range of other supports that young people can access from the Headspace Centre.
That's brilliant.
And the Headspace Centre in Ipswich is run by Aftercare, which is a community managed mental health service. They're actually the oldest community managed mental health service in Australia.
Yeah.
So they're leading Headspace Ipswich along with Headspace Nunda and Headspace Wollongabba.
Great, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, Ebony, tell me, you're an ambassador. What does that role play within the foundation? And do you interact with the young people? Do they come to you for help?
So Headspace really encourages youth engagement. There's various levels of youth engagement that they encourage, both in terms of centres, so operating things like youth reference groups, as well as having young people giving their say at a national level. So they focus on two different levels. At a local level, my role is basically to kind of equip the young people that are participating in the community engagement at that level. Sometimes they might have been a client of Headspace or someone who accessed the service or someone who's really passionate about their community and give them the tools to be able to run their own projects. That's something that we're quite passionate about. If they want to do something to raise awareness of mental health, we encourage them and give them the tools so that they can independently do that.
That's fantastic. That's so encouraging to know that there's an organisation out there ready to support young people through those really difficult times in their lives with growing up and maturing and reaching out and all of those types of things. Now tell me, when a person needs to access these services, you know, do they need to feel embarrassed or anything like that? You know, it's one of those things that sometimes people feel embarrassed about asking for help when they are struggling with things. Is that something that Headspace open their doors to?
Sure. We know that mental health, there is a lot of stigma around mental health, unfortunately. But what Headspace tries to highlight is that young people can come and get help if they're just having a tough time. It's not about getting a diagnosis. You're not going to walk in and walk out with a mental health diagnosis or a mental illness. It's just about coming and getting help early when you're having a bit of a tough time.
Absolutely.
If you're feeling you're stressing out with exams, if you're feeling that you can't cope at work, if you're feeling like home life is unsettling and you're feeling in additional stresses from home or work life. We want young people to come and access the centre. They can drop in or they can book an appointment or they can give us a call.
That's fantastic.
The number for Headspace Ipswich is 32807900.
Fantastic.
They can also get online and have a look at the Headspace Facebook page or the website just to get an idea of what the centre is all about.
Great.
Obviously, there's local centres, sorry to interrupt,
that's okay.
Local centres throughout Australia. So if they can get online, they can look at where the centre is that's closest to them.
We're actually really out of time, but that's okay because you can find out all of that extra information on our website at the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
No worries.
And we'll see you after the break. Stay connected. My next guest is Officer Philip Paff from the D Platoon, 43 Station, Queensland Fire and Emergency Services. Welcome to the show, Philip.
Good morning, Tammy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lovely to have you. Now tell me, the Queensland Fire and Emergency Services, do they just do fire? What type of emergency services are part of their role?
Well, there's many facets to fire and emergency services. A lot of people would just assume that we conduct fire operations, bushfires, house fires, but there's the rescue from motor vehicle accidents, hazardous materials leaks. We have our compliance and regulatory code enforcement to make sure buildings are safe and people are safe.
Sure.
And then there's our public relations component to try and educate the community about fire and dangerous situations. So there's a broad scope more beyond that fire scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a big job. Now, I understand as part of the education that you were just talking about, you obviously go into schools and do a fire program, teach fire safety to children.
Most certainly do.
How important is it for the children to know, but also the adults and maybe the families at home?
It's absolutely vital. We get the kids when they're in grade 1 and that beds them in and sets them up for their future in their understanding of the emergency service as a whole.
Yeah.
But with especially in the season we're in now, coming into winter, traditionally we have a higher call of fires in homes during that time. So it's critical that the family members know what to do in the event of a fire.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't consider that until that moment falls upon them. So just to have a plan what to do in the event of a fire, how to get out, and for anybody in the house, when the fire does catch a light, where do they go?
Yeah.
So that when we turn up to help, we can best place our efforts to help those people.
Yeah,
definitely.
Good to know. Now, it is a tough job, I understand, obviously with the different activities that you do, and it can be quite challenging at times, but there are certain people out there who are called to the work and called to help people in that way. How can they get involved with the services?
There's so many different faces to the fire service, is that virtually anybody can find a place if they feel the need to contribute. We have our paid members, obviously of which I'm one, but then we also have our auxiliary, which are like a retained part-time firefighting force, which are used in the perimeter areas around the cities or in major centres outside of Brisbane. But we also have a volunteer element. So there's the Rural Fire Service Queensland. Is people can go and join their local rural fire service, and they can contribute in any number of ways. It can be helping from making food. To keep the guys and girls going. Or you can be a person on the front line putting out those bushfires.
That's fantastic. So there's quite a wide range of positions available to be able to get involved.
It's immense, and it's a really big family. We've got upwards of, in excess statewide, of 50,000 members contributing in some manner or form to the overall mission at hand.
That's fantastic. So good to know. Now, tell me, just to quickly recap all of those things, so fire safety is so important, and they can get onto a website.
Yeah, if they go to www.fire.qld.gov.au, they can access our website, and there's tips. There's assistance there in making a plan for evacuation from the home, and also advice on things such as if you're lighting a fire in your yard, depending on where you are, on the correct way to go about that. And also advice on things like smoke alarms and where to place them in the home.
Fantastic, no worries. Thank you so much for coming on the show,
Not
Philip.
a problem, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And if you do want any more information, head to the website and you can find all of those extra details that Philip's just mentioned. Coming up after the break, we have some very special guests and one of the four-legged variety. Stay connected. Welcome back. The Assistance Dogs Foundation plays a very important role in a number of Australians' lives. Joining me now from the foundation is trainer Caroline King, puppy raiser Joanna and her puppy Brandy. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you, Tammy.
Love to have you. And Brandy as well.
It's nice to be here.
Absolutely. Now tell me a little bit about the Assistance Dogs Foundation.
Assistance Dogs Australia trains Labradors to help people in the community, mainly people who need assistance with everyday functioning. Most of our clients do not have use of arms and legs, so our dogs are trained specifically with a set of skills that can assist those people to live a normal functioning life.
That's excellent, so exciting.
Yeah.
Now, Joanna, tell me a little bit about Brandy. You were telling me just before the show she's only 5 months old.
That's right.
Big
She's only
puppy.
5 months old, so she came to us when she was 8 weeks old. And we've trained her for the past 2.5, 3 months. She's definitely improved a lot. She's learnt a lot of things, and she's just continuing to learn new tricks and new cues. She's doing really well. She's very calm and focused, so really happy with her.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Now, how long have you been part of the program? Have you been a puppy trainer for a long period of time?
No, Brandy's actually our first puppy, first long-term puppy.
Yeah.
So it's a big adventure for both of us.
Yeah.
But we had 2 other ones just for 2 months initially, and yeah, we really enjoy it.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Caroline, can anyone become a trainer?
Absolutely. We are always looking for people in the community to assist us with bringing up the dogs. Joanna is providing a lovely stable home environment for Brandy. She's exposing her to all of the stimulation that she needs to understand as she goes on her journey to help someone. The last thing we want is a dog that has never experienced something when they're working. So Joanna is providing that, and anyone can be considered and be interviewed for the community raiser positions.
Fantastic. That's brilliant to know.
They do a wonderful job.
It takes about 18 months, I understand, for a puppy to go through the full training program?
It all depends on the animal. Every dog is different. Every dog has his own idiosyncrasies, his own personality. Some are a little slower than others. Some just need a little bit more encouragement and practice than others. So we never set an exact time on any of the dogs.
Oh, that's great. Good to know. And look, Labradors are the sort of known dog for this type of work. Can other brands get in on the job?
Well, we stick with the Labrador. I mean, it's not unheard of to have other dogs, but the Labrador is tried and tested with us.
Yeah.
Very socially accepted in the community.
Yes.
They're a very loving dog. They, you know, willing to please is the term. It's not the scientific term, but that's the term.
Absolutely.
Yes, and they respond very well to our scientific-based strategies for training.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, it's been so lovely to have you here on the show, and Brandy's just been absolutely so well behaved, sitting here quietly. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Now, if anyone at home would like to get involved with the foundation and become a puppy trainer or donate to the program, you can find all of those details available on our website. Thanks so much for joining me today, Caroline and Joanna.
Thank you for having us.
No worries. During the week, our production team went out to visit the Starlight Children's Foundation Queensland office in Kangaroo Point, where they interviewed Tracy Tomlin, the Queensland State Partnerships Manager. Let's have a listen to what she had to say.
Starlight Children's Foundation was actually set up in 1988, and we were purely a wish granting organisation. Now we have a Starlight Express room in every major paediatric hospital around Australia, with our wonderful Captain Starlight, who is just a superhero full of energy and fun and laughter. And we also have an adolescent program called our Livewire program, and we also have Northern Territory and outreach programs. So we make sure now that we can make a big impact for as many children as possible. Laughter is very important. If you think about your own life, life without laughter would be a very, very sad place to be. Being a seriously ill child in hospital, unfortunately, when they're actually treating the illness, they do take away the childhood. So Captain Starlight and the Starlight Express rooms are there to really give those children back their childhood. Play is the language of children, so they're able to do that when they're in the Starlight Express rooms. I think I've got probably the best job in the world, and I just love it passionately because I do get to see the difference that we make for these families, and it really is at the time that they need it the most. Having a child with a serious illness is a shocking thing to have to experience, and I do get to see the difference that we make, and bringing some laughter and some light and some joy into these children's lives at their darkest time is pretty incredible. It is very sad at times as well, and it does make you sort of see things in a really good perspective, and yeah, it's just a great experience to be involved with Starlight. Every person that actually works with Starlight gets involved in the programs. We have a program called Get Connected, where we send every team member to the Starlight Express Room or to the Livewire program to actually understand and see firsthand the difference that we're making, so that every person is completely engaged and passionate about what we do and the difference that we make. So we've got Livewire in Hospital program, which is where we have an adolescent space. So the Starlight Express Room, once the Starlight Express Room is finished for the day, it turns into an area for adolescents only. So the adolescents can go in and work with facilitators to do projects, and just long-term things that they can return to when they're back in again, because these children are regular visitors to the hospital. So livewire.org.au gives them the opportunity to actually hang out with people that are actually going through the same thing that they're going through, and they understand that it's a really difficult time for them. So it's a great space for them to just be teenagers and forget about being sick for a while. We have the Starlight 5 Chefs Dinner coming up in Brisbane on Thursday the 5th of June, but it is an event that is held nationally, and it is our biggest fundraising signature event. We then go out and source all the wines, and also the auction items, so that we can ensure that virtually everything on the night is donated, and the money that we raise goes directly to supporting our children in the in-hospital program. So it really is an amazing event. There are so many ways that general public can get involved with working with Starlight. As we don't receive any government funding for our programs, the support that we have is purely generated by our amazing donors and corporate partners in the community to raise the money for the programs. We also couldn't exist without our amazing volunteers. Our volunteers help us with events. They come and volunteer their time in being out on the streets and shaking tins to raise money on Starlight Day. And they also actually help us out every day in the hospital. So they get to work with Captain Starlight and the Livewire facilitators, making sure that we've got enough staff in the rooms and giving them the experience as well. So we really couldn't exist without our volunteers, and obviously we couldn't exist without the money that people donate to us. So just to give you an idea, $39 gives you access to all the Starlight in Hospital programs. So for every donation of $39, you know exactly the difference that you're making. And on average, a wish costs approximately $6,500. So they're the kinds of amounts that when you donate, you know exactly where the money's going and the difference that you're making. It's actually quite a difficult thing to really raise the money that we need to raise. For the Queensland programs, we need to raise over $2 million. And we sort of struggle to find that money in Queensland. So some of our other states help us out with that. So we would love to be in a position where we can actually pay for the programs in Queensland for the Queensland children. There are many ways that corporates can get involved, and we have a range of programs to make sure that we can really add value to their business. But it's just sort of really having the opportunity to let people know about Starlight and the difference that we make.
Welcome back. And to round out our episode today, we are joined by Dustin Schmidt and Eddie Mars, half of local Brisbane heavy metal band Mars Attacks, performing an acoustic version of their song Fright Night. The boys have put out 2 singles, Appetite and Every Day is Halloween. For more information, please check our website.
Got myself a ticket to opening night. I'm in for a thrill. I'm in for a fright. As I take my seat, wonder what creatures I'll meet. As lights start to fade, I swear and I shake. The night's got a hold of me. Yeah, Friday night. When you're all alone, Friday night. Tear your flesh from bone, Friday night. Survival's your concern. Friday night, waiting at every turn. Creeping in the shadows, hiding under your bed. Nowhere you could run to when you're walking with the dead. In the distance, you can hear their footsteps thud. They're getting real hungry, and they're coming for blood. Friday night, when you're all alone. Friday night, tear your flesh from bone. Friday night, survival's your concern. Friday night, waiting at every turn. Progress from the gutters, blood runs through the streets. Hear the screaming and a shudder. The devil's come for me, yeah, yeah. As the lights come back on, everyone starts to leave. Try to move, but I'm trapped here, stuck inside a silver screen. Yeah, Friday night, when you're all alone. Friday night, tear your flesh from bone. Friday night, survival's your concern. Friday night, waiting at every turn. For the 1,000th time. Friday night, won't make it out if you're alive.
Thanks for joining us again today on Connected. Many thanks to our guests today, Tess Stewart, Ebony Corbin, Philip Paff, Caroline King, Joanna and Brandy, Tracy Tomlin and Mars Attacks. For more information about anything you've seen on today's program, please head to our website connectedtv.com.au. I'm your host Tammy Lindy, and I'll see you next week when you can stay connected.